Hello everybody, it's Emery48 here, and welcome back to another NCIS Saturday. We're continuing with Season 4. This one really starts the ongoingness of arcs throughout. The first couple seasons, I mean, you have the Aerie arc, but it's not that consistent, right? It comes and goes throughout Kate's tenure on the show. But really doesn't pop up that often. It will pop up every episode or so, but every now and then. This one with La Grenouille, the frog, really drives hard with Jean Benoit and Tony, and it's one that I remember from the show as my least favorite era of the early seasons, because it dragged on forever, and it was so in your face. Like the Ari one lasted multiple seasons, but it was, if you watched all the Ari episodes, it's probably only 6. Every episode with the frog and Jean Benoit is a lot. Like, there's just so much going on there. So it's interesting to be back rewatching it. And specifically watching it more like actually in order. This season came out, I believe, in 2007, which would have put me in late elementary school, so I probably wasn't quite at watching this weekly at this point. So I probably saw these episodes out of order. So seeing them in order, and with the emotion through them, they are generally just better than how I remembered it. But it is still very in your face, and a lot of that side story. It is interesting seeing the development of both Tony and Ziva figure out the emotion that is love and not together. That is a thing to grapple with for both of them, which is an amusing character development. McGee doesn't really develop all too much in this season. Maybe he grows up a little bit. The Jimmy Palmer and Agent Lee stuff, I don't remember how that love arc ends. I feel like there's something that goes wrong there, but I don't remember. But right now it's just kind of annoying. It's just weird. Like, you do it like once or twice, but it's like, I don't know. It's just odd. And it's very interesting knowing where Jimmy Palmer gets to as like the head doctor of the show, and where he is now. He definitely changes a lot as a character, so we'll see where he goes next season. But we do start this season with Gibbs not officially a part of the team, so we'll get there. Episode 1, Shalom. Ziva recognizes an Israeli leaving an explosion. Mossad thought that agent was dead. Ziva left her car at the scene and is wanted by the FBI, so she calls Gibbs, who is, in Mexico, and he returns. Former Mossad, killed by agent from another country. Her and Ziva fight. She is Iranian. They were behind everything in this episode, and Gibbs heads back to the airport. Episode 2, Escaped. Fornell is confronted by an escaped prisoner he and Gibbs had arrested, claiming they got the wrong guy. Gibbs returns for this case as well. The presumed framer found shot and interrogated and sent off a balcony. Tony bugged by the escapee, and the escapee's mentor is the framer. The escapee is exonerated, and Gibbs takes back his desk. He's not gone for long. We get about 15 minutes of him in Mexico, and he comes back. I honestly thought that he was gone for like at least an episode. He jumped right back in immediately, which is great. I mean, it's early seasons. Like, we can't be Gibbs-less in season 4. That'd be an outrage. Episode 3, Singled Out. Kidnapped woman seen in the back of an SUV with a bloody hand. Tony offered his own team at a different site. Hotel bartender is the kidnapper and robbing the hotel. NCIS stops the theft, saving the victim, and Tony turns down his promotion. Episode 4, Faking It. A gunshot victim in a car crashes into a cop car, making a traffic stop where a gun was found. The victim wrote NCIS in blood on the passenger seat and had many coins spill when the door opens, $73 worth. The bullet vanished with no exit wound. Franks comes back. He is connected to one of his cases. This is connected to one of his cases. A former Soviet operative. Ducky determines the victim must have puked out the bullet. Tony gets knocked out. Franks is taken. Mike wasn't actually taken. He knocked out Tony and escaped. McGee and Ziva find the bullet in puke. Mike lures out other Russian agent, killing him in front of Gibbs. Episode 5, Dead and Unburied. 6-month dead body left in a living room of a house being shown. The victim had 2 fiancées. They had both been getting letters from him after his death. McGee finds one fiancé dead. The victim had hired someone to send the woman letters. A third love interest for victim is the real estate agent. Ducky solves the real estate's husband buried a victim alive, tried to frame his wife. A third fiancé arrives as the episode ends. That's a full-on soap opera, by the way. 4 different love interests. Crazy. Episode 6, Witch Hunt. Halloween Murder. Colonel Mustard is shot, but survives. A skeleton is killed, also shot. The daughter of Colonel Mustard was kidnapped. Ex-boyfriend thinks the daughter is his. Ziva loses the mom. The kid is found, and the kidnapper is killed. And the conspirator was faking as the mom's sister the whole time with NCIS. She's also arrested after the mother beat her up a little bit. Episode 7, Sand Blast. Marine exploded in a bunker while golfing with his son. First, Tony undercover love interest appearance of the La Grenouille story arc. CIA informant burned alive in his shop. The informant was not actually killed. He was the bomber. He is still on the loose. Ziva has disarmed the 2nd and 4th bombs. The 3rd bomb was the one that blew up the shop. Episode 8, Once a Hero. Ziva pushes the director away from a body that fell from a balcony or a roof at a diplomatic event. Another woman is found dead at the same hotel. Congressman's aide raped and murdered a 14-year-old illegal immigrant being used as a sex slave. That's a great storyline for this episode. Marine victim tried to save the girl and was killed for it. Agent Lee helps find the other girls and shut down the organization. That group's leader killed the Marine. Episode 9, Twisted Sister. Bloody girl knows McGee thinks she has killed someone. This is his sister, and she has memory issues from her previous night. A dead Marine at McGee's sister's college. The sailor was stabbed. McGee's sister was drugged, and McGee's sister was saved by the victim from being raped. This was an incredible episode. Just the twists and turns, and McGee saying to Gibbs that he couldn't trust anyone even at NCIS because it was family and he had to know what was going on first. And Gibbs gained a lot of respect for McGee in that moment, because he wanted a reason for why McGee was going through this episode the way he was. And when he gave the reason, he was just kind of like, yeah, that's a great reason. And moved on. That's awesome. Episode 10, Smoked. A body found while removing a chimney. And the body is FBI wanted serial killer and cannibal. 14 confirmed kills. Many of the victims looked similar to his wife. One body found behind their house, which then turns into 4. 18 total victims. The serial killer was stabbed to death, and the wife killed the husband. She is the actual serial killer, responsible for all the bodies, which is crazy because the whole cannibal part, they found a thumb in his stomach. So either they were both doing this together, or she was force-feeding him the toes from her victims. I don't like either answer. Episode 11, Driven. Auto-driving experimental Hummer kills tech inside with carbon monoxide. Mechanic found tied up in the victim's bed. They were dating. Tony, street performer, undercover, does a little song, watching associates to log on Wii. Boss tried to murder another worker, but the victim was in the vehicle outside of her scheduled time, so the wrong person got killed. Episode 12, Suspicion. Locked out naked man finds blood spilling out of neighboring room at a motel. Local cop framed Iraqi as a bomb maker. The victim's supervisor is the murderer. He got bought off by terrorists to get a life in America, and someone gets pics of Tony in bed with John Benoit. Episode 13, Sharif Return. Streetlights turned into SOS. Marine victim missing an eye below the intersection. He tore out his own eye and ate it. Sharif is back and is a suspect again. CID is back as well. The Marine died by chemical weapons, which is what made him tear out his eye. Sharif released some of the gas, supposedly in Gibbs's house, but that was a bluff. Sharif is killed, and the plot is foiled. Although Gibbs was sick from a chemical weapon, so I think it was actually true. Episode 14, Blowback. Tony and Ziva snatch a dude. Fake flight gets weapons dealer to give up info on another weapons dealer selling U.S. Navy cruise missile control system, which sounds rather important. This case overlaps with Tony's undercover case that no one knows about yet. He gets a heart attack while attempting to flee NCIS and dies. The Frog was the highest bidder deal to happen in Quebec. One of the Frog's men is CIA. Episode 15, Friends and Lovers. Dead body at abandoned restaurant got poisoned. Serial killer. Murdered a prostitute. The owner kills another prostitute. Tony and Metro cop kills the owner, but the cop was killed by the owner. Petty officer was killing prostitutes with poison, making it look like an overdose. A lot of bad people in this episode, you know. Marine guy found dead. There's also prostitutes found dead. He was killing the prostitutes. So the owner of club kills the Marine. Like, it's not that wrong, you know, like. But then he also kills a prostitute. So, like, it's not great. And a cop. He was killed with his own poison, which is also interesting. The dead Metro cop was John Benoit's ex. And Tony doesn't actually know that. So, and John Benoit also doesn't know that he died. So that's great. Episode 16, Dead Man Walking. Man wants Gibbs to investigate his murder. Curious request from a man that's alive. Radioactive poison. His coworker also poisoned. Another coworker hired to poison them to prevent inspection of a nuclear site in Uzbekistan. Neither victim died on screen, but the original victim it did not seem very hopeful. Episode 17, Skeletons. goopy skeletons spew out of a wall casket thing at a graveyard. There are parts of 5 bodies. The rest of the bodies are found in another little wall casket, all killed different ways, range in age and race. One of the victim's sons is the killer, learned to butcher from his girlfriend. Poison victim from the last episode is confirmed dead in this episode. Not one of the bodies, just kind of a side note. The girlfriend is cutting up her boyfriend's victims. Really a good power couple right there. Yeah. Episode 18, Iceman. Ducky opens a body bag and the victim wakes up. Mike Franks' son. He dies in the hospital. Mike was in the car the night he was attacked. There are 3 murdered from a flight company. The victim had flown. Mike's car has the murder weapon from the trio of bodies. A loan shark killed Mike's son's killer. Mike's son smuggled his fiancée and baby mama out of Iraq. Mike is helping her out the rest of the way, presumably back to Mexico. Episode 19, Grace Period. 2 of Agent Cassidy's men are blown up, and she is hit, kind of, a little bit. Suicide bomber targeted NCIS agents. Suspected suicide bomber was dead 1 day before the attack. The one who tricked NCIS is killed in a shootout. Cassidy sacrifices herself, dying to another suicide bomb, saving Gibbs, Tony, Ziva, and a group of Muslim religious leaders. Tony says I love you to Jean Benoit for the first time, after that being a struggle as well. Episode 20, Cover Story. A fire department puts out an oven fire at a house that has blood stains in the living room. The homeowner's car is found with more blood. Still no bodies. The victim is targeted from McGee's next book, but only the draft. 2 bodies, another character inspiration, found at a location used in the book. Abby is the final target. Tim's barista is the killer, and Tim talks the killer down. I don't know, I always write McGee as my note for him, and then there's one episode I wrote Tim. So I think his author persona, which also isn't Tim, it's Tom, made me write Tim. I don't know why. Episode 21, Brothers in Arms. An informant killed in a drive-by talking with Jenny, a money launderer for the Frog. She is going very nuts over the Frog, but she did hit the driver during the drive-by, who died from his wounds, and the shooter dies in a shootout with NCIS. I believe McGee killed him. The Frog weapons shipment was just water guns that they found. This is one of the episodes that really makes me not like this arc. She's just going crazy over this, and the annoying part is the repetitive nature of that. Like, okay, she's wants to catch this guy. It's clearly personal. She won't tell Gibbs. I get it. We've done this 4 times. Can we move on? Move the story forward, or do something else for an episode or 2. That's kind of where we're at with this one. Episode 22. In the dark, a photographer takes a picture of a dead man in the background and didn't notice until the picture is developed. He is blind. The likely suspect shared a meal with the victim, and the victim was under investigation. A co-worker and lead suspect is found hung. The Inspector General's office had an agent responsible for the murders to cover up his embezzlement. Episode 23, Trojan Horse. A taxi delivers a dead man to NCIS, who was supposedly alive when he got in the taxi. The victim is a gardener for the Yemen embassy. He was poisoned. Someone is hidden in the taxi chair and breaks into the evidence locker to swap a murder weapon from another case. NCIS catches them, and they were hired by the lawyers of the accused man in the other case. Jenny's father potentially faked his death over a decade ago after taking a bribe from the Frog. A Russian general colonel, was also bribed and told her this on his deathbed in Russia. Episode 24, Angel of Death. A taxi, back-to-back episodes with a theme of a taxi, very interesting, hits a man crossing a road at an airport while he was looking down at his phone right after Jenny leaves from her return flight from Russia, France. The man dies in Jean's hospital while Tony was there. Tony and Jean are then taken at gunpoint from someone trying to get the drugs out of the dead man. Jean stabs the guy and Tony shoots him. Jenny's dad's prints are found in her house while she was abroad. Tony meets the Frog as Jean's boyfriend, but he has been handed the photos of them together from Court, who is the CIA agent. Only thing said on camera is that he's a player and not someone who settles down with one woman. Typically, nothing is blatantly said that he's an NCIS agent, but I feel like that might be known as well. And that's a wild way to end the season. We don't really get the conversation of that interaction, which is nuts. That's for an annoying and sometimes repetitive. Well, no, I'm gonna go with a repetitive and sometimes annoying arc to end it with this like epic meetup that is unique. Incredible cliffhanger. Way to reel me back into this story that I wasn't really getting interest from. Well done with that. Great way to end the season. I like this season. It wasn't the best one, but I had fun. When we do get to other NCIS shows, we will start ranking which one is the best out of all the NCISs, but for now we only have one. So our next video will be on Season 5. Let me know your thoughts on NCIS, specifically Season 4, in the comments down below, and the Frog arc with Jean Benoit. And I've been saying the Frog for too long to remember what it actually is in French. So that's fine. We'll go with the Frog and Jean Benoit, if you like that arc within NCIS. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.